Welcome back, Truth Seeker. In the headlines today, Friday, August 24th, 2019, the death of a 33-year-old police officer, Nicholas Hopkins. And what I want to show in this video is for people who are new here, how I came to understand the relationships between numbers and recurring patterns that those who followed since 2013 and 14 have seen hundreds of times over, typically at a rate of more than once a week. And let's just go through this. So the reporting is Chicago, an Illinois State Police trooper who was shot Friday, that's August 23rd, 2019, while executing a search warrant has died, according to state police. The fatal shooting occurred Friday around 5:30 a.m. Keep in mind, in Gematria, shooting equals 53. When Illinois State Police showed up at a home in downtown East St. Louis while attempting to execute a search warrant, 33-year-old trooper Nicholas Hopkins was shot in an exchange of gunfire, Illinois State Police officials said. Hopkins was transported to a local hospital with life-threatening injuries. He was pronounced dead at around 6:10 p.m. I'm going to go through a lot of information, and I'm going to come back to this point about 6:10, his time of death. So if you're new here, we're talking about Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. The most pure cipher in this study is using the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26, taking that order of letters and then using the rules of numerology to each letter. So for example, P is the 16th letter. You see how P is worth 7? That's because the numerology of 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. O is the 15th letter. The numerology of 15 is 1 plus 5 is 6. L is the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. I is the 9th letter. C is the 3rd. E is the 5th. Added up, police equals 33. And over the years, I just noticed how often there were stories like this, and numbers such as 33 and 47 always grab my attention because they seem to be so common in stories like this. 33, 47, 74 as well. Again and again. And I thought, And then one day I learned this Gematria, and I said, wow, look at that. No wonder I read about so many dead 33-year-old police officers. There's songs out there like Murder by Numbers, Gematria, The Killing Name. There's movies, Murder by Numbers. There's books, The ABC Murders. So you start to see there's popular fiction enlightening people about the relevance of letters and numbers, and then lo and behold, you apply this knowledge and you see that it is very much in use. Manly P. Hall is the first person I know who revealed this information in any type of book. He was a Mason himself. He revealed this knowledge in the Secret Teachings of All Ages. So a 33-year-old police officer, Nicholas Hopkins. And notice where he was killed, East St. Louis equals 137, which is the 33rd prime number. It also equals 74. Now, once upon a time, when I first started, I wouldn't have noticed either of these things, 137 or 74, because these are based on the alphabetic order in reverse. And I didn't cover this until after I'd been studying the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology for more than 3 years. So, when I learned reverse, I just saw how patterns fit together even more cohesively. Again, East St. Louis, 137, the 33rd prime number. Prime numbers, those that can not be divided except for by one in themselves. And then 74 is this number that I learned from the very beginning often showed up around 33. And for a moment, I wondered what that was, but then after a little bit of decoding, when I first started, I wrote everything in a journal. There weren't any calculators online. I just wrote pen and paper, did the math, and I discovered something really interesting. So notice the officer's name, Nicholas Hopkins, with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology is 74. When I first started this research, I noticed just using the alphabetic order, Jesus, Messiah, Cross, Parables, Gospel, they all sum to 74. Just using the alphabetic order. A's 1, B's 2, C's 3, J, for example, is 10, so it's 10. E is 5, S is 19, U's 21. You just add it up, 74. Jesus, Messiah, cross, parables, gospel, they all sum to 74. Out of the 50 states, I noticed right away that only the 33rd state, Oregon, summed to 74. Out of the 50 states, if you write them out with the alphabetic order, you'll see only one sums to 74. And I thought, that's like the story of Jesus on the cross at age 33. And if you've seen that show on Netflix, The Family, about the powerful Masonic Christian secret society in D.C. that recruits very powerful people in the world, they tell you the man Doug Coe, D.C., he's from Oregon. The man who established that fraternity. Is he really, or is it just part of the Masonic ritual? And notice, words such as Jewish, Masonic, occult, English, Gematria, they all sum to 74. This study of Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, is about words that have the same numerical value and a relationship. So what's the relationship here? Gematria and English obviously have a relationship, the practice of coding numbers into words. English, clearly built on this system when you study it. This knowledge is occult, meaning hidden. It's studied by a secret society that studies occult knowledge, the Masons. And Masonry is very much based in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, where Gematria gains its significance. In Kabbalah's Book of Formation, it's stated in the opening paragraph, God created the world with words, letters, and numbers. Gematria. Now, for years, I saw this relationship of 74, and when I first learned the reverse Gematria ciphers, one of the first things I applied was, what does Jesus equal in reverse, and what does Jesus Christ equal in reverse? And right away I saw the 74, and I said, I don't think that's a coincidence. And then I applied this knowledge to many other, patterns that we've studied, and I saw just how many overlaps there were across the board, and I said, wow, the alphabetic order in reverse is the other half of this knowledge. And consider in Hebrew Gematria, they typically use 14 ciphers to do their study. I promote mostly just the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. If you use those two ciphers, you will see more than enough. You'll see the overwhelming patterns. For example, you'd see that this officer's name is 74, he's 33, and you already know about 33 and 74 just through the alphabetic order. But again, you learn the reverse half, you apply these other two ciphers, you see what else is being coded and how it fits right in with the narrative. And this is why we expanded to teaching the reverse ciphers, because obviously it was part of the necessary knowledge. Notice Bible in reverse is 33. Spiritual number, connected to Kundalini, another part of Freemasonry. Spiritual ascension up to 33 bones of the human vertebrae. Now, about this police officer and him being shot, the day he was shot had a life lesson number of 43. And look at Jesus Christ with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, 43. With the reverse alphabetic order, Masonic killing, 43. And in May of 2012, several news sources published that science had found out Jesus' crucifixion date possibly, and it was April 3rd, 4-3, like 43, in the year 33 AD. Again, our calendar means after, our calendar is connected to the life of Jesus, the one that we're supposedly on. So think about that as well. We're on this Christian time. And by the way, with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, notice Christian's 47. With the alphabetic order, time is 47. The calendar system we're on, Christian. Did you notice time is 61 and Christian is 61 as well? If I'm not mistaken, Christmas is 61, church is 61. In Revelation, about the return of Jesus, there's a letter written to the church of Philadelphia, 61. Just had the mass shooting in Philadelphia on the date with 61 numerology. Bryce Harper had his best game of the season that day. Anyway, that's off subject, sort of. But again, this code is used to script news, sports, and it's all biblical. All of these number symbolism and significance, it seems to all come from spiritual texts such as the Bible. Also the Talmud, other texts. So remember, in the article we said we would come back. They said he died. He was pronounced dead at 6:10 p.m., like 6-1. And remember, there's a Jesus ritual here. Jesus is 61. Cross is 61. Again, church 61. Christian 61. Christmas 61. Time 61. That most holy time of the year. Around the winter equinox. Okay. Hit the wrong button there. So we've established the 43. Now, with regards to April 3rd, it's also the 93rd day of the year. And just using the alphabetic order, crucifix is 93, God's Son's 93, Nazareth 93. Supposedly this is the day science, traced the date to. And remember, there's a fine line between science and religion in this world. Notice science is 58. Notice biblical is 58. Science and biblical knowledge often competing with each other. The Jesuits, the divide and conquer agenda. Notice Freemasonry is 58. Notice secret societies 58. Notice Rosicrucians 58. Notice Solomon's temples 58. Notice tracing board is 58. These are all things that are really important to Freemasonry. And again, just to remind you about something, another headline today, might even be the headline that's still up right now. I haven't looked for hours. Well, now they have it as the middle story. You see how it says Trump claims an absolute right to order U.S. companies out of China, and you see how they emphasize absolute right? Absolute right equals 58. And again, Donald Trump announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. He was running for the 58th U.S. presidential election. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Hillary Clinton put out a book called What Happened? What Happened 58? And I want to go back to this absolute right. You see the 58 and the 77? Secret Society 77, DC's on the 77th meridian. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is headquartered there. That district is named after George Washington, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. But again, absolute right. 58 connects to Trump in a big way. 77. Look at what this story says. Let me get it up here. You see how down in the subheadline it says his latest comments raise questions as to how far the president's authority goes under a 1977 law. Again, this knowledge is in use every single day. You apply this knowledge to the headlines that you see every day. You learn the repetition of the patterns. You'll understand what they're coding and who is coding it. People always say, who are they? Look at they, 58. Again, King James, who has a Bible named after him, biblical 58. Dropped dead at age 58, unexpectedly. King James was a Freemason and a Rosicrucian. Freemasonry 58, Rosicrucian 58. How does the New Testament begin with Jesus? The 42 generations to Jesus. Notice with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, your most pure cipher, Freemasons 42. If you write out 42 as a word, it sums to 74, like Jesus Christ. And 42 also sums to 43 like Jesus Christ. And those 42 generations are each subdivided into 14 sections, 14 generations, 14 generations, 14 generations. If you add 14 three times, it equals 42. But notice Jesus Christ, 43, the 14th prime number. And again, Masonic, 43. These are codes and riddles that they drop every day in their stories. And oftentimes, when they're murder rituals, they are seemingly in tribute to the crucifixion of one of the most known names in the English-speaking world. By the way, there's a belief that the energy in words and in numbers and in all things, the vibration it gives off, it controls the world. Notice energy is 74. Every day it seems that the media use words as weapons. Notice weapons 74. Big number, very special number. Nuclear 74. So anyway, getting a little off track. Coming back to the death of this officer, the news comes today, the day after the killing, August 24th, 2019. Yesterday was a date with a life lesson number of 43. Today is 44. Notice officers 44, like shooting, like kill. And if you want to add to that list, execution's another 44 word. Number that shows up often around death. And he was in Illinois State Police, which equals 118. Number connected to death, shows up all the time around death. Homicide and death both equal 118 in something known as Jewish Gematria. So I don't have anything more to say. Well, I guess to finish with one last point, again, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, very powerful, located across the world, having a headquarters in Washington, D.C., which is named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. I want you to see something about New Testament. You see the 159 and the 165? We just talked about the 42, right? Freemasons 42. It begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. The first book is Math is 42. Knowledge is 42. But here, coming back to New Testament, notice the 66. Most Bibles end with the 66th book, the final book of the New Testament, which is the 11th triangular number. Jesus in the most pure cipher is 11. If you had 1 through 11, it equals 66. Revelation's about the return of Jesus. Revelation with the alphabetic order is 121, which has a square root of 11. But anyway, coming back to New Testament, it's 159 and 165. Scottish Rite is 159 and 165. And I want you to think about Trump as the 45th president, because I've been talking about this for a long time. The Trump-Pence ticket, the warning signs of Revelations, the trumpets. Notice Holy Bible's 45 in both reduction ciphers. Notice the 153, the miraculous catch of 153. 90 is one of two numbers where if you write out as a word, sums to 33 like Bible. Anyhow, Trump number 45, very special number. Okay, lost my train of thought for 1 second. So again, Trump's number 45, New Testament is 159 and 165. Donald Trump, notice his name is 159. His birthday is June 14th. June 14th and June 14th, the flag's birthday, is also the 165th day of the year. Think about Trump in Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day. Think of him at the Vatican with the first publicly Jesuit Pope on the 144th day of the year, May 24th. Jesuit Order 153, like Holy Bible as well. D.C. was once the Catholic colony. First Jesuit university right there, Georgetown. You got to really think about what this nation is. It's a nation where it puts on its young people to bow down to authority. Most people growing up in the history of this country got Bibles. They were taught the whole way to believe and trust in the authority. Remember, believe's a 33 word as well. Believe with lie in the middle. And that's what's expected from us every day, to just bow down and believe and pray and wait and hope and wish. Are those really good values for a people? Could there be better values? Could it be like, live by the golden rule, take action when it needs to be taken, only trust sources that are worthy of trusting, not just the authority? Would those be better values to be taught? So that's what I mean. Don't forget, NASA was established in 58 too, run by Freemasonry, science, spirituality. Big Bang. There's a good one. Big Bang. Look at the 42, the 33, the 147, the 39. Freemason 42, 147. Masonry got to spell right. Masonry 33, 39. And speaking of biblical numbers, I guess this will be a good closing point. We're just getting a little bit off topic, but we're trying to connect how it's all put together by this code, from science to entertainment to news to spirituality. NASA. It officially stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Notice when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, that sums to 666. The other year they kept the astronaut in space. What was her name? Peggy Manson or something. For 666 days. So, 666 taught about in the 66th book of the Bible, Revelation. And it's the number of the beast is what it's called. In the most pure cipher, that sums to 66. In the King James Version, which is named after a Mason, that verse begins, "Here is wisdom." We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Till next time.